All right, here we are, day after the memorial ended for me. It was 3 rounds, 2 rounds at Vista Del Camino in Phoenix, and then 1 round at Fountain Hills, Arizona. And I didn't record the first round, so what I'm going to do is in the second round, I'll explain what kind of happened first round as quickly as I can, and then why that changed my approach. And yeah, let's get started looking at this. All right, so hole 1, the day 1, I had tried to backhand, and I missed the double mando twice and then went out of bounds, so I took an 8. And today I decided I'm just going to forehand and take a par, day 1. So first day, threw a overstable Enigma here, didn't have enough overstability to fight back on edge, so I went with my Cloudbreaker 3, but a little too high and not wide enough. So nothing crazy. Took a par here day 1 also. And so yeah, pretty much day 1 I was very, very timid. My putting looked nothing like it did in Maricopa, if you watch that video, at least day 1. But starting here, I decided during warm-up this morning, I thought I just need to commit to every shot and stop overthinking it, go back to what was normal. And so here, just did that, committed outright, and didn't overthink anything, and it was a great shot. And day 1 on this hole, I didn't get it out wide enough. I'm throwing my most overstable Cloudbreaker because I don't want it to push straight and push into the OB out on the right. And so it's 380, and it barely pushes around and leaves me about that nice little 25-footer, which will seem to be the pattern all day long. And then, yeah, a little timid on the putt, but I knew what to fix from day 1. And so it was still there, but it started getting better day 2 and beyond. So starting 2 under, and I would prefer to have a forehand layup, but here I am, I'm going to use a soft tactic. Again, you're seeing I'm not committing out wide, and so I'm a little early on everything. Barely hit that mando and puts myself in the middle, leaves me a 25-foot elevated putt. And again, fixing my putt, I was like, if my putt's on, everything else is okay. Like here, day 1, I birdied this hole. It's pretty long, and I went out wide where you just saw me looking, and so I was gonna do an essence turnover down that gap right here on the left side, but I was, again, afraid to commit out left, but there was no birdie shot after that. So here I just have my overstable C-line DD3, just trying to get up in a layup position. All of my approaches also, like this one, I should have been under the basket, but I didn't commit out left, and so it left me a 28-foot putt, which again, for the pros, sure, but you know, I'm not a pro, and it was fine, and so moved on. Now this is another one that should have been a birdie. Day 1, I was out in the middle, and then there's an island you get on, so I'm gonna really rip this Cloudbreaker 3 into this headwind, and I turned it over, and I went in the water. I was 400 feet from the island because of that, and that was not gonna be, it was not worth the risk of taking a double bogey. And so I just laid up right before the OB starts, and then so here I just have a mutant approach, and then it was a tap-in birdie, so no need to film that. And then this one, day 1, used an FD 360, flipped it up a little too much, so today I went overstable DD3, and this was just perfect, but it hit that tree, so 60 feet out, and bam, everyone else on the card got a birdie on that one but me. So that felt like a really bad missed opportunity. Day 1, I went down this gap in the middle. Day 2, I decided to do a big sweeping hyzer, and so I'm kind of in the way. The disc is exactly in front of me. It's an Enigma that flipped up straight and clipped a little bit of a tree, but then swung down there, and so it was okay. Nothing crazy here. Sorry for the stuff. I just approached and then putted it in. This next hole, hole 10, is also another par 4 that should be a get. It should be an easy forehand, but I clipped a tree and took about 40 off. And so that left me about a 390. So I was gonna do an essence nice turnover, but again, afraid to commit on certain lines, and so I didn't throw this high enough. Yet again, another little tactic approach, because I prefer this forehand, and just trying to keep it out left and let it get under the basket. And then this one. And so I was afraid of turning it over that top side, so I threw this Cloudbreaker 3 on hyzer and way too down the middle and low, and so then it skips OB left, which was such a dumb mistake. So here I am in front of the Mando. I just need to, again, save a bogey now. So I just lay up in between those trees to give myself under a 300-foot approach with my FD3. There's a headwind, and so this is about 280 or maybe 260, and I didn't want to do the mutant into a headwind. And so I just did the FD3 and kind of left it a little farther than I wanted, about 23 feet, which should be way closer, but it's okay. The putts were on today. So that was the one thing that I was making up for from day one, was my putts were where they should have been. And so here, easy 290-foot hole over the water. The pros played 420 feet, which I was a little bummed that we didn't get to do that, but this was an easy birdie every day. Usually within 20 on this one, so nothing crazy. This one I was so bummed about. I forgot to record, but there was a left to right headwind, so I threw a straighter Enigma on hyzer exactly where my finger's showing, and it stalled up high and pushed out and left me with this 29-foot putt with water 10 feet behind this elevated basket. As you can see, I was afraid. And so here we are. This is another easy forehand. So this was supposed to be 350 and 300, like easy forehand. So here I grabbed my PD, and I should have just done my FD3 to like have more stability, but with my PD, I turned it over, and it holds that turnover a lot more, that angle, and doesn't come out. So I hit that tree, and this is such a missed birdie opportunity. So I just lay up. So then this one's a pretty huge one, 15. Like here, I wanted to do the essence again, commit to that line, and I didn't. You see, I started way more flat. It was high like it should have been, but I didn't hyzer it like I should have. So this leaves me about 420 out. And there's those Mandos, you have to go way around. So I'm going Cloudbreaker 3, going for a big skip. And so straight enough to push out far, but low enough to still get a skip after. And both days I was left exactly right here, anywhere between 60 to 40 feet from the basket, but behind this dumb tree. So still 1 under, so I'm going Cloudbreaker here. I flex out this forehand, which is looking perfect, and it just skips into that tree, which left me about 38 feet out rather than 21 feet, right up that hill a little. And I was so tempted to go for this, but had to take another par. Hole 17, there was a headwind, so I was deciding between the FD3 and mutant, and I was worried about the mutant flipping up, so I didn't commit to hanging it out left, and I didn't even make the island, whereas day one, I was parked right under the basket, same disc, same shot, and that was frustrating. So now I'm back to even. And hole 18, I didn't commit to my shot, so it came out early. Went to the drop zone. I didn't finish this. I went to the drop zone, and I didn't even put my approach close enough. So I didn't just take a bogey, I took a double bogey. So that put me at 2 over. And I'm just playing awful for day one and day two. We get to Fountain Hills. My friend, I missed the shot on this one also, but, and so I yanked it out there. It was just too low, but I hit the wall, and I don't know what I was doing, but I missed that 15-footer for par. So I'm starting the day at Fountain Hills at 1 over. So here, forehand, trying to commit to go over the water just a little, and then go back inbound safely to give myself anywhere from a 350 to 400-foot backhand. And so I'm going with my stable instinct here. There's a left to right tailwind a little, and so if I miss the shot, my line, it's going to just push it out right more. Risk the roll away, but so starting off with a par. Hole 3, I went with a DD3 into a headwind, and even then, it flexed out left like I did not want it to, and it left me with a 32-foot putt. But like I said, my putts, I fixed that from day one, and I was pretty confident. Then we go to this island, another headwind, went with FD3, and I think I didn't commit out left enough, and so you'll see it's fine. It makes it to the island, but puts me about 32 feet out to the right, constantly these circles edged putts. This one, I wanted to do the PD with this little bit of headwind there was, and trusted to push it over a little, but I left it up high. For some reason with my PD all day, I was leaving it up high and not committing to keep it low. I was afraid of turning it over, I think. And so it didn't give me any kind of birdie shot. And I was really considering running this right there, thinking about it, but knowing if I miss high, I'm straight in the road. So then we come to this practice forehand before the tournament and realize there's a cliff on the other end. So I decided I'll just do a softer forehand, and it left me 42 feet out. And so here I am, and I'm like, I can't not get this birdie. This is ridiculous. But you see that cliff going down to the OB road right behind me. But my putts were feeling like on today, so I had to go for it somehow. Then here's this peninsula going with a soft tactic, only 200 feet. It's a tiny little thing, perfect, lands right on the peninsula, tap in, no need to worry about it. So this one, I was really debating on this left to right crosswind. I go with my straighter Cloudbreaker 3, and I just give it all I can. And so easily clears that 320 tree for a hopeful forehand approach, which I didn't get because this little tree in my way, so I have to backhand, which I don't prefer. But I did a soft tactic, and it was perfect. It left me 19 feet away, but this happened. And so this is a 400-foot onto a peninsula, ridiculous shot. So my only hope here was to throw my most overstable Cloudbreaker and let it push onto the peninsula as far as I can, hoping for a jump putt so I don't have to forehand or backhand out onto the edge of this thing. It was easy, only 15 feet away, and I was like, freaking jam it in there and get your par and get out. So then we get on to hole 11, another hole where it's like, this must be a birdie. And so just all you have to do is hang it out there. There's nothing to be afraid of or worried about. So you just get it there, and then you take this birdie. Next hole, there's a headwind. Not too bad, so I decided on the PD. And what I didn't consider, because this didn't happen to me in practice, was the problem of leaving it up high, which I just did, and it fading far down the hill and skipping OB. So that was a ridiculous mistake. And so here, against what everyone else was doing, I just forehanded, letting that right to left push into the ground, and that left me with a tap in. This is that one where it's on a little hill and it can go into a culvert right behind it, and it's a very elevated basket, so I just went with an adder, something that would swing out and then curl up onto it. And so here you see the angle I have to go at. But again, I'm trying, especially after missing that birdie, I'm like, I must jam these things into those chains, no matter the cost. And so here, PD again, but I'm having that hole in my mind where I'm like, I cannot leave this high. I would rather burn it over right than finish high, and it's exactly what I did. You see me overcorrecting out of fear of leaving it high and it fading out into OB. And then we come to this one at 423 feet, a headwind. It was going to go with my most overstable Cloudbreaker, decided not to because I wasn't going to reach it, so I chose my straighter Cloudbreaker to let it turn a little bit with that headwind. And it was phenomenal. I was even surprised by it, and this is where that drive got me on hole 15. And again, the day's going really well. So this one's about 330 feet. You just have to go around the Mando. I'm deciding between the FD3 and the adder because there's a left to right, and so I need something that'll fade into the wind, or despite the wind. So I just throw this adder without wind, or with a right to left. The putter would have been sufficient, but that was just perfect. This one's 470 feet right to left, and so I need to hang this very overstable Cloudbreaker 3 out and to the right. So I do. It was perfect, and I hung it out high enough so the wind could get a hold of it, and you see it swinging nicely way over there. And a little more left would have been preferable because of what you're about to see. And so I tried and missed that birdie opportunity. So then we get to hole 18, and I pull out a S-line BD3 for this 400-foot shot. I'm going to throw it right at the basket, and I'm going to let it flex. I'm going to let it turn, but then I slip. And I should have checked the tee pad. I know better. I always check my footing, and I didn't, and that was so frustrating. We ended the day at 6 under. Day 3 at Fountain Hills was more representative of how I think I'm capable of playing, committing to my shots, not being afraid, and my putts being on. Day 1, none of those were on. Day 2, the putts were on, but I wasn't committing to all my shots. And day 3, I commit to my shots, but maybe choose the wrong disc, wrong height, and then one or two really dumb putts. Like, that was how the Memorial went. Next tournament is this coming weekend. It's a B tier at a golf course nearby, and so I'll be playing MPO against some really good 1,000 and 990 rated players, and so that's going to put me back on trying to compete against people that are significantly better than me. And so if you guys saw anything or have any insight on what could help, please let me know, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.